If you want a successful business while living a life true to yourself, you're in the right place. Welcome to Authentic. Let's get started. So I think this naturally transitions into the second struggle that you talked about. So we've got Dawn back to dive in deeper to that second struggle that we didn't get to because there is so much good stuff that we just shared in the previous episode about social media and all of those pressures and really finding marketing that's going to give you a return on investment, return on time. But your second struggle that you had mentioned that you see a lot of your clients struggle with is, again, this like DIY brand aspect. And I think that really ties into my main like topic of authenticity too.
I'm gonna let you keep talking because we can go into
yeah. So like what, yeah, how specifically are we going to get into this? So with all of your experience with small and big businesses and brands and marketing, Dawn, I know that whenever we're doing a startup, there is a level sometimes where is a fit to kind of DIY it. I think especially as solopreneurs, we don't have a company, we don't have formation, we don't have partners, we don't have funding. Let's talk a little bit first about maybe this need to DIY it and when it's a good idea and maybe when it's not a bad idea or when it is a bad idea.
All right. So I will say, if you're going to DIY, here's the problem that I see with DIY branding. And you probably do a lot of cleanup yourself.
Yes, always, I think.
I see a lot of business owners jump into, okay, I need a logo, I need a website, I need to secure my marketing channels, my social channels, my handles. No, don't start there. First, I say that before you even get to visuals and showing up as a business, you have to understand how to clearly articulate your why of what you do and the core pillars of your business. And I call the core pillars your mission, your vision, your values, what it is that your business stands for. Mm-hmm. If you start DIYing without having those things clearly outlined, you're going to miss the mark when it comes to how to talk to and connect with and visually appeal to who your target audience is. And if you aren't articulating those things and you just show up with your logo, your website, you're going to get into that whirlwind of, I've got all of these things in place. Why isn't anyone finding me? Why isn't anyone converting? No one wants my product or service, or people aren't coming as expected. Mm-hmm. The DIY comes from just jumping in like, okay, I've got to start doing the things. But there's a lot of foundation work there that I think that a lot of business owners miss. That's part one. Part two okay. Of the DIY is they're just like branding principles that need to be understood. And I freak out. There are a lot of times I freak out when it comes to marketing and branding, but the quickest way for me to freak out is when people have it's not even a thing. A pixel-based logo, that's not even a thing. Like, yeah. That's not a logo, that's a picture. Like,
yes. Uh-huh.
Those are the types of things that happen when people go into doing the DIY. Like, you just need a little bit of hand holding, some guidance, someone to steer you in the right direction. DIYing. Oh, and I'll say this one last thing. I've got a great analogy for it. So if my brakes go out on my car, I am not a mechanic. I can watch a video of how to change my brakes, but at the end of the day, I'm not a mechanic. I don't have the confidence in knowing that when I need to stop, if I'm going 60 miles an hour, that I've actually done it the right way. Like, there's a lot of unknowns there when you try to DIY, that you usually don't realize that something is wrong until you're too far into the process, until it's too late. I'm gonna stop.
No, let alone the tools. So I used to work at auto shops actually. Like I worked at multiple shops like through 18. So I'm so much into that realm. But there are a few things like, oh, I've replaced headlights or like a headlight bulb from YouTube.
Yes,
But I am not going to do my brakes.
exactly.
First of all,
Exactly.
it's not just the know-how, but having the right tools. Because once you start taking the wheel apart, you're going to have like some rust. Then you can't get this bolt off. You can't do this. And so you just possibly couldn't and shouldn't like duct tape your duct tape your brakes on your car. Like it just can't be done. So
I love the way you brought that analogy home.
Yes, no, like I know. So when we get into like our branding and DIY, we can see things. And I think this is where people can start doing inauthentically. And I see so much beautiful design. I get really excited by it. It's hard for me to find the design that truly is a fit for me, for my business and my audience, that is going to also make me stand apart in my industry.
Mm-hmm.
And when
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to navigate that all by yourself, first starting your business, like Dawn said, my clients come to me for logos and websites. That's not what I do, really. Like that's what you see at the end. But what we need to do is fully uncover, explore, and discover what it is that makes them uniquely them,
Yeah.
how their business is uniquely
Yeah.
them, then the psychology of the visuals to create the emotional experience for that person. And it's not just, oh, here is me and my brand. What is your customer feeling before? Are
Yeah.
they afraid? Are they frustrated? Are they overwhelmed? Well, we're not going to want to make a website where it looks like you're screaming at them and it's a bunch of red and it's a bunch of like poppy flashy
Yeah.
colors. You're like, that's overwhelmed me. I'm off. I'm gone.
Yeah.
What can be soothing? What makes me start feeling
Yeah.
the feelings I'm going to have after the product and service?
Yeah.
So it's not something someone should expect to be competent in, to expect to
Right.
be able to do for themselves,
Yeah.
even if they're 5 years down the road in business. There's a different arena of approach. And a lot of my clients, they're like, oh, I'm just not creative. I run into so many people who are like, I'm just not creative like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that's not your strength, then
Then
definitely
what?
don't pressure yourself into trying to make it up for yourself, because
Yeah.
most likely you're either going to just pick something on a whim or start mimicking someone, and it's not truly
Not
an
gonna be
authentic
you.
brand for you.
I love talking to you.
I love talking to
I
you.
love talking to you.
Oh, it's just so hard to like, sometimes you explain this to people, even like my family and stuff. They're like, yeah, that sounds conceptually good, but it's like, no, to truly understand the struggle of like seeing where people are too, what people have struggled to build. And a lot of my clients, when they come to me, they're also embarrassed. Like they've done the best they could, but like their business isn't growing. It's because they're kind of embarrassed to send people to their platforms, to their website. I've heard it a few times, but I think it's one of those really internal things. Maybe women are a little bit better about communicating that feeling too, but they're just like, I'm afraid of making this big connection and I'm embarrassed to send someone to my website. Like, please fix it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I think that is the underlying feeling of when people use the word professional with me. I think 99% of the time when I'm asking people, what it is it that you want, they say, I want a professional brand and website.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's you want
Mm-hmm.
one that you're not embarrassed of too.
Yeah.
Like, so, the DIYing, there might be a place for it, I think, sometimes.
Tell me more.
Okay, this is my thought, but please tell me. So I'm torn, and I honestly don't really know exactly what to say to answer that, but I feel like there might be a time and a place for a DIY, but for the most part, I think that hiring someone to do your branding, to help you clarify your message, is going to save you more time and money down the road, and might honestly be the difference in was this thing successful or not? Like truly. But if I feel like someone is exploring the possibility of an endeavor, maybe
I
also
see.
if they're
Okay.
not personally developed enough to be ready for it. Because
Yeah.
sometimes the best branding experience that I get out of my clients are those people who have done this a little bit long enough or done something related. You could be shifting to new industry, but if you're slightly related, actually, you know what? I just found some more clarity around this and trying to articulate it. I'm not all that eloquent sometimes and I bounce around. So please hang with me.
No, go for it.
Yeah. So I think what it is it's not exactly the experience, or it's not exactly, oh, have they tried this thing out long enough to know about it? It's, are you personally developed enough to be empathetic, to understand who it is you're serving, even if you've never worked with them before? Because if that person's just sitting there crossing their arms and like, I have no idea who this person, this client is that I'm going to serve. If
Uh-huh.
I have no idea, then I'm like, I can't do that for you. I can
I
help.
see.
I can help draw it out. We can explore it. But I feel that there are some things that maybe people need to know before coming
Get
to me.
into meaning the DIY serves the purpose of them answering questions about their business, what it is that they
Mhm.
do prior to seeking your
Possibly.
guidance.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe not the actual physical, like, oh, I'm creating a logo. Now I have all this clarity in my business mission, but your four pillars, I think, is what I would want someone to feel even possible of creating. If they don't
Mhm.
know
Mhm,
themselves
mhm,
or
mhm.
why they're even starting the business enough to
Yeah.
create that, then I don't think I'd say, I don't think you're ready for me.
Ready
But
for mhm.
someone's not going to walk up to me. I couldn't even walk up to myself like without having to curate it and say, oh, I know what my brand mission is and I know what my brand voice is. Like, you don't get that
Yeah.
clarity without working with a brand designer, without going through some sort of course and doing tons of writing prompts and really thinking it through and articulating and doing that research.
Mhm.
But I guess in the fact, if somebody needs to do some sort of start in a DIY venture, I would say not necessarily even creating like that brand.
Ooh,
There are people who are very successful without a website, without a logo. Like, it's just your
yeah,
personal brand. It's like your
yeah,
photos of your service or you maybe.
yeah.
But okay, so where's the struggle. When you get a client who's done a lot of DIY, and especially if they've been doing that for a while, and you're trying to rebrand them, what are the struggles you run into? Or like, how is that actually like worse than just not doing it first?
I will say that I don't run into that very often.
Okay.
If they're coming to me and they've already got something done where they DIY'd, they come to me because they know I need to do something different. So they're already open to the idea of change.
Mhm.
I usually have some type of feeler to kind of gauge how open to change are they.
Mm.
Meaning, if they come to me because they need, it's oftentimes, oh, like I've got a website, I've got a logo, I need help with my social. Every now and then I look at what they've got, the DIY that they've done, and kind of determine, has what you done already going to support
Mm.
our marketing and branding efforts?
Yep.
If not, then I typically say, like, there's a refresh. Let's make it easy for people to understand like where they need to go, how they can learn more once they leave social and come over to your website. Typically, they're open to that change because usually it's minor. Usually it's just tweaks. I'm not gonna say minor, but
Yeah.
I've never I've never had to get into a situation where we've totally had to gut refresh, like
Mhm.
where it was just the nice word for trash.
Yeah.
Had to
So
experience that.
are some of those people, have they worked with someone before then, like doing some of that?
If they did, it's either years ago, it's
Mhm.
been 3, 5 years. Um, how we behave now, post 2020, people now see like there's a refresh, or just what I have no longer serves its purpose.
Right.
Every now and then there's someone who has DIY that may not have worked with someone, but they've learned a few things on the way, and they've kind of like honed in on what's going to work best for their brand.
And
So
that
yeah,
probably
there's
likely took so much time too.
yes.
To get that to that point on their own, what they had to learn, what they had to put up, what they had to rebuild,
Yes.
redesign. I have some of my clients, I think they've redone their website like 5 or 6 times sometimes.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's still not
Yeah.
what I wanted it to be. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll take it the rest of the way. But yeah, to truly have clients who are open to exploring, wait a minute, before we move forward, we got to make sure we got the right foundation built. It's got to be consistent with what might be really amazing and being built now. That level of quality needs to be matching on, of course, your most important spot, your website. More important than your beautifully curated social media is, does your website have that quality about it?
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people use that word professional. And I get really like, I got to check them on that, because I'm like, is this person going to be open to creating something that's a little bit more of a personal brand that has personality? Because professional, I think, to me means 2 different things. Professional is this overly corporate, stuffy office, suit, professional. There's like professional, but then professional then just means really high quality, like made quality. It shows, I guess, it builds that credibility beforehand. You might not have had one sale, one service, but if you have a website and a brand and a message that's polished, it builds you far more credibility quickly.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I'm trying to decide if I want to backtrack to something that you said.
We have so many good things. Yeah, if you want to backtrack, loop around, wherever you want to go.
First, let me backtrack a little bit. And I think it's best for us to clarify, me at least, to clarify DIY for your listeners.
No, very good. I'm glad you did this. Yeah.
With DIY, DIY, but you've had someone provide you specific guidance for your business, your industry, that's not quite DIY, because seeking a consultant to talk through like what you need to do, what's going to work for you, you've had some guidance there. And then if you want to head down a direction, that's fine. When I say DIY, I think of, you've watched a video that's supposed to be a catch-all of how to execute building a website, or let's use that as an example. You've watched a video, a tutorial on how to build a website, and the website that you watched someone build is a lawn care business website. Now you're trying to take what you saw for this lawn care business website and mimic it for your, let's see, skincare line. That's DIYing. That's not what really you need to be doing.
Tangible way to describe it. Yes. So very much DIYing. There are, yes, great resources. Do it yourself is literally what DIY stands for. So yeah, you might be building the website yourself, but with a course, a program, a consultant, a template that's very fitting to your brand, that's very matching of the content layout. That's a whole nother tangent for me to get into, is not 100% DIY. And that's where I think those clients where you'd only need to do some tweaks versus we got to do a rebuild has come from. So in the DIY aspect as well, we think that we know where we want this to go without the right questions. I literally use like personality assessments, not only so I know like how to work with my clients better, but personality assessments of like, how are they going to be showing up within their business? What is their drivers? How are their clients and customers going to perceive them? Because we have all these thoughts about who we are.
Yeah.
But we can't see how that's perceived on the outside. We have fears and doubts and limiting beliefs and this vision of who we want to be, but like that might not be translating. How are we known for? So without these types of things, and that might be something that you could be guided through in some type of course or consulting, and then take it from there. Gosh, I've got this clarity now. Now I know where to go.
Sometimes you need to have a brand analysis done.
Yes.
And a brand analysis allows someone with a fresh set of eyes come in, look and evaluate, is your brand portraying all these great things that you already know about your brand to someone who's not familiar with it, who hasn't been there with you for the past 5 years? Is your brand resonating with someone new? And are you clearly articulating what it is that you want your brand to represent? And a brand analysis helps you view your brand, understand how your brand is coming across. Because as business owners, you can be so emotionally connected to it and so set in where you are, what you've done, and not realize that there's time for a change, you're missing the mark. There's so much to learn with a brand analysis, but as you were saying, a consultant, because even all of the things that you open your clients' eyes about, whether it's the name or what their logo is conveying, not DIYing and just seeking, just having someone who knows the industry, knows what they're doing, best practices, you can rely on their expertise, their knowledge, everything that the internet could possibly tell you you're getting from this one person in this 1 hour, rather than Googling and searching and watching 6 hours of video and only walking away with 15 minutes of actual usable knowledge that still isn't going to get you to where you want to be in the long run.
Oh, everything that you just said is so powerful too. I think our struggle overall in approaching multiple aspects of our business as well, we just kind of run with it. We do the best we can. That is all that we can do, but there is a struggle that isn't totally necessary.
Yes.
At times there's a struggle that's not necessary, but we're afraid of investing a little bit of money, or of seeking that help. And there's one other side of this as well, is when seeking that outside help, make sure that the person that you are hiring or working with is not pushing on you. Here's maybe I shouldn't even delve in. Maybe I shouldn't even dip my toe in this, but I'm going to. This can get kind of okay. So here's my other aspect too. When you're speaking about this, Dawn, my heart goes out, because people who are then seeking help, they're like, yes, I'm listening to you guys. I want to seek this help. I understand how important this is. They then hire someone who has not necessarily an agenda, but has a particular aesthetic, has a particular portfolio they want to build, right? Like, so is this person asking you crazy questions that are insanely hard, that until they're asking you a question where you say, I don't really know, I'm not sure, like they're not digging deep enough into what is this potential and what's truly going to fit you. When people look at my portfolio, I like to put like some of my favorite, most beautiful designs up, but I have an insane variety. And that's not necessarily something that's typical sometimes when you see a designer. Sometimes, yes, you're trying to attract a certain client. So they're going to show the portfolios that only relate to that client, but look at all their sites. Do they start looking the same? Is there, like enough variety? Because everyone is so unique, and what's truly going to help someone succeed in their business is not just trying to be better or trying to fit in the crowd. It's in being different. And in highlighting what is different about their business, about their aspect of it, them personally. So yeah, when you're going to hire someone, like it's also caution. I'm also get help, but be cautious. Is this person really diving into your story, asking you tons of personal questions that you think aren't even related, like digging in, not like, let me look at your business. All right, well, this looks better for this industry and we're going to jump with it. Like, I don't know. Is there any other indicators, I guess, can someone, when they're trying to vet someone who's the right fit, Like, what should they be looking for when hiring someone? Like,
You
how
know,
should these people be digging into this?
I think you make a really great point there. That's something that I don't run into as often. Every now and then, if I have a client or a prospect that we're going to execute something for,
Mhm.
every now and then they say, "Hey, can I see like another website that you've built,
Mm.
or can I
Mhm.
see a social channel of or blog of someone that you're already managing?" My answer for that is always, I can show it to you, but keep in mind that this person has this particular audience and their brand looks different. And what we create is going to be nothing like anything that
Yes.
you're going to see. It's going to be specifically for you. So
Mm.
I don't run into that very often, but
Yeah.
you make a very valid point. I will say that with the designers that I don't use a designer that has a style.
Mm.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't
That's
want
my
to
point.
see that you've
Exactly.
got, because I need you to break out of that. That's
Yeah.
not what I'm going to need. I need you to come with a blank slate so that you can create something for this specific client's individual needs.
Yeah.
In terms of vetting someone, I'm big on gut feeling of, how does this conversation feel? Am I going to, because as a business owner myself, there are people who I source things out, I have a tax person, like the things I have no business doing, I don't do it.
Yes.
But even for me in those conversations, how are you presenting yourself to me? Do I feel good in this conversation? Are you teaching me something? Do you understand where I am and where I'm trying to go? And will you be respectful of getting me there? Your pace may not be my pace.
Mhm.
How will this relationship work? Because at the end of the day, think of it this way. Who do you want, if you're a small business owner or a solopreneur, you've got a team of less than 10 people. Is the person you're talking to someone that you can see 6 years from now when you've got a team of 100 people? Is that the person you want on your team?
Mm.
And really go with your gut feeling about how that relationship goes, and just conversation before you even get to the execution. How does that feel for you? Are they pushing an agenda, or do they have a specific perspective? Sometimes people just want to work with someone that is going to do what they ask them
Yes.
to do.
Mhm.
If that's what you want, make sure you've got a yes person. If you're looking for something more, someone that is going to challenge you and your business to help it grow, what's the conversation like? Just make sure it's a good fit for what you're looking for, rather than they said they could do X and they do X, so I'm going to go with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that ties a little bit back into the DIY, because if you know exactly where it is that you want to go, you can go get someone to do exactly what it is.
Yes.
Now, there's the other aspect of, you think you know where you need to go and what you want to do and build. And like this client, I had this example of someone built him the exact website that was based off his direction, his need, but there was no questioning. There wasn't repositioning. There wasn't an offering, maybe, I'm assuming an offering maybe of like, is down the road this going to help? Does this truly communicate what your business is? Someone who's asking questions. So there's two levels. You said the gut, and that's the other thing too. Sometimes when we don't know, we just put too much trust in someone else. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, 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 I'll go with that. Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds good. But it's like, no, 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 wait. So my questions are very posed to my clients, and I ask them so many questions within the project before I start saying, okay, well, I also think that this could also be a possibility and it might help communicate this. What do you think? Like,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
so I want to hear them out to fully understand their vision before I start like positioning and like, oh, here's all my ideas and posturing myself and my ideas all over them. Because honestly, I will have sometimes a website that follows or breaks some certain rules and another one that doesn't, because when these clients are working with me, I can find examples like within marketing, you can find examples of almost any type of strategy working very successfully for someone. That doesn't mean that that's what's going to work for you. But when someone like it very much fits, like, no, they are okay, videos going viral. They do not want to be on video. They're not a video, whatever. There are people who are massively successful still with writing blogs or doing just audio.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. We can make it work for you, but we need
Yeah.
to know that first, like
Yeah.
where to go without pushing you into something that's not going to be a fit later, or only letting you stay in this realm that you're comfortable or you think you should be in without exploring.
Yes. Yes.
So there's the listening to your guide and your gut check. But
Yeah.
again, I think this is where my authenticity piece runs into everything, is that I felt like for so many years in my business, and I think a lot of my clients too, especially if they've gotten a brand that isn't in alignment with them, is they feel like they have to be something they're not to continue it, to market it. So if it doesn't feel good in your gut while you're building this, how in the hell are you going to make that continue to feel good, to show up in that way, to continue on that brand? Because it will only, no matter how long Dawn or I are with you, it's up to you to keep that brand alive. And if it's not authentic, it's gonna fall apart, or it's not gonna be successful. And that's the DIY aspect too.
And I'll add this one last thing about authenticity. People can sniff it out right away if it's not you. People know, they know. Like you
and it's like, how do you know? You've never met me, but it's like, it's just
people know.
Yes.
There's that feeling of who's authentic and who's not, and people can sniff that out right away. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. So especially if you do work in person with people, they've been following this social media curated, super polished thing, or they've been listening to your podcast or whatever it is that you've put out there, even just your website content and copy and your image, your personality is showing through. That's why most all of my clients now do photo shoots, because it is so important because most of my clients are also personal brands. So important for you to actually be seen in this personal brand. But we go through an entire strategy call because I want to make sure that their photographer doesn't get their hands on them and starts making them do things that are not them, that they're not comfortable with now. Oh, holy crap. I didn't mean to, but now my website is inauthentic.
Yeah.
Because I trusted my photographer so much that they put me in a position or in clothing or in something that wasn't authentic to me. So I want to research, like, maybe what is it about humans that can pick that up? But it's a superpower that I'm so glad that we have, because honestly, our life would be hard if we didn't have that.
Yeah.
Oh, it would be so hard. So I'm grateful for that authentic radar that we have.
Yes, agree.
But yeah, I think that people, they have that authentic radar and they can pick it out for other people, but then they feel like as soon as it comes to branding and everything, oh, it's okay. I can show up as this. I can wear the super dressy stuff I've never worn for my photo shoot for my company. They think that it's not that like, oh, I think I can get away with it. I'm purposely trying to like lie to people, or, what's that word?
Pull the wool over someone's eyes.
Yeah. Like I'm not trying to deceive people. I'm just trying to create this brand that, connects with my audience. But wait a minute, is it you?
Yeah.
So, well, I'm so grateful for your insight more into this. I feel like I learned so much, and I learned as I went with like my own ideas coming out, being prompted by that. But I think you do such great work. I would love to work with you in the future as well. Cause I think that you're just so in alignment, but truly like your service is what I see my clients needing. And your service is honestly, I do like that major construction part, but I feel I don't ever plan to have that further like longevity support after. Like that's not what I've decided to specialize in. And no matter how much that I might be missing the boat on some sort of type of income, like this is where my strengths lie. This is where I truly connect people. But I think anyone that I've worked with, I would love for them to be passed off in your hands, because I know that you're going to be able to stick with their authenticity and make sure they're not doing things that they're later regret, or
Yeah.
that might start tearing away at their business.
Yeah.
That trust factor, their ability to show up and have that success too. So I'm so glad that we made that connection on LinkedIn.
I am as well. I so am. I enjoy chatting with you. This has been a good time for sure.
Your insight is just so natural, so deep. I think that anyone who's possibly interested in needing marketing, even down the road, even if you're not ready to do that 30-minute consultation call with Dawn, because I feel like you can help set them on the path, even if they're not ready, to not have to navigate all of these other pitfalls and obstacles into getting to that next step or level.
Yeah.
So people can do that 30-minute consultation call, schedule that with you at dfostermarketing.com. And where else would you like to connect with people?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yes. Exactly how we had. I agree. I love LinkedIn. So that's at Dawn Foster on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Okay.
Dawn D.Foster, and my business is there as well at D.Foster Marketing.
Okay, perfect. Well, I hope that we continue to run into each other in the future, and maybe even down the road, we can do some more podcasts as well. It was just
absolutely
so value adding. Thank you so much for your time and for the joy of a second episode too. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This has been a good time.
My name is Monica Fawn. I'm an artist and marketing assistant turned brand Sherpa and website designer. I help people just like you and me be on fire and sustainably profitable, to be on brand, incomparable in your industry with a personal brand, and on purpose, walking your path of fulfillment. And last and not least, be authentic, living a life true to yourself and free.